Well, hello there, everyone. Here to show you right here. I'm talking about with Word, document, for a distiller right here. So it's like this right here is to give us an option to where we can actually save this document right here as for a PDF file, to open up and export to distiller, right? So a lot of times it sure seems that way that each time we do speak about distiller though, and want to know that okay, yeah, that so if you're getting ready to distill a document, and then for sure a lot of times it usually means is that you're getting a file ready for print a lot of times, and that's usually what that means to you, to where if you're trying to build a project or anything like that. But let's just say that on average though that if you're going to be you're using any writing right here, and like anybody will likely say that if you were to go ahead and include a note and like anything that you're going to be working with, that you're going to maybe think is toward okay, yeah, that whenever it comes to understanding about distiller and then WordPress right here, and you see right here these options right here to where you can create and share PDF files and request a signature right here, and of course with the editor tool right here. So it's like you have these different options and commands right here, and you have open Grammarly right here. But it sure seems that way that you start writing a message, start writing a letter right here, and not everybody is really going to understand what all this means right here. So a lot of times it sure seems that way that whenever you do first start writing, that you're warned toward okay, what do you think the subject should be about? Do you think that maybe it should be about maybe setting a few goals and achievements? Do you think that maybe that you should be talking about as to where just to kind of get some practice with it? Like, okay, what if I were to type this letter right here and maybe send it to a client, then what do you think that they would be thinking about whenever they read this right here? So it's like then for I do, or it's like some even laugh, but on the other hand, is to think on the important side for positivity of understanding, for on the other hand for what is required. So whenever I was writing this right here, I was also thinking too that talk about for what is special about this and what is special about that. So let's just say that if you were to be telling somebody about, for how, because this right here, a lot of these options right here is what you would get a lot of time, whenever you do open up Word document right here, that you would see all this stuff right here, and maybe not everybody's really going to understand what all this is right here. So it's like whenever you first start writing a letter though, and it's like you start writing down the top of like talk about for whenever it comes to understanding about that, setting a goal and achievement as to where what do you learn whenever you do quit something, but on the other hand too that whenever you continue working on something. So it sure seems that way that whenever we do first start writing a letter though, that it's like that the first thing that you're going to maybe write about in this journal is this toward okay, anything that you're going to be mad about, to maybe anything that you would like to see improve, or maybe if you're trying to talk to somebody about something. So it sure seems that way that each time we do speak about letters, though, journal writing, and maybe mystery stories and all that, and want to know too that okay, you're going to go ahead and open up a Word document and write at least 150 or so words, just so that way you can, you start writing, and then somebody that's going to find the work that you're doing and want to know too that okay, that I'm not sure what you mean by whenever you say this, or I'm not sure what you mean whenever you say that. And so this right here that talk about for accessibility, but still, if we were to actually use this Word document right here and then export it into Distiller, and at 102, that you actually were to save this to the proper document, right? The type file type document, right? And you would open up in Distiller. But it sure seems that way that you go ahead and write down, you type a letter, right? And like everybody else might want to know too, that could you maybe explain what is it that we're looking at right here, so far as that for the work done, and it turns it turned to seems like it has never been easy. But on the other hand, that for my long road ahead. So whenever I was writing this right here, I was also saying is toward that in just maybe in a couple of characters is toward that whenever you first start writing, working on something, it's like that a lot of difficult challenges and maybe based on what you practice with and thinking is toward it. What exactly is it that maybe a lot of students are thinking about whenever they're going to be reading this right here, looking at what you're writing, and so that's why it sure seems that way that every time I do think about that in 102 that you have right here for think right here, but still, if you're going to be writing a letter like this, and you're warned toward it, that anybody else that could be reading this and want to know exactly what is it, and what does this mean, or what was the purpose to why you wrote this letter in the first place. So it's like, so that's whenever that you would want to go ahead and attach a few memos and maybe a few sticky notes right here on the side or something like that, but you have right here these different menu options right here. And if you can see this right here, that you had this right here where it would give you these options to where you have these review options right here. And so it sure seems that way that every time we do think about that in 102, is to where that you got right here is request signature. And so yeah, create PDF files and then send it for signature right here. So let's just say that if this right here was supposed to be a note to maybe to a doctor or something like that, or maybe to somebody that's reviewing the document or anything that you want to talk about or something like that. So it sure seems that way that when we do, if you were to actually read and understand a little bit more about something like this in writing in 102, that some of this really, the writing right here really does not have anything to do with what you talked about during the meeting and all that. But whenever you do write about this, that what I was is talking about right here, of talking about maybe a letter that I would have had wrote, just like people say, just to kind of get somebody's attention, and just knowing as to where talking about that I was from all the other kids, knowing that when it comes to times when I started falling behind or something I was getting frustrated with, for that reason, that all the other kids were thinking ahead of times means that you would choose a date in general for the students to seem to have more confidence and knowledge than I did. So whenever I was writing this, I was just thinking too that whenever you first start working on something, that you notice too that there was only so much that you knew and so much improvements that were going on, and that is why it seemed like that what exactly was coming through my mind whenever I was working on this right here, and at 102 that what exactly was coming through your mind whenever you were working on this. Well, I the first thing that was coming to my mind, of course, was the fact about that. If you're not following the directions, then you should then you need to get further assistance with that or something like that. And so that's why it sure seems that way. That when we do speak about requesting for signature and of course for editor right here, and that is why it seems like I'll go ahead and select the highlighter right here, but you see right here that I went ahead and highlighted, talk about for general students. And so well, what exactly does that mean when we do speak about for general students right there? And at 102 that okay, what exactly do you mean by that? Is toward students, students who are very well experienced with the work they do. So it sure seems that way that each time we do speak about writing in a few paragraphs, and so so it's like so whenever you first start writing about something, that you might start out with maybe like with a letter about what you like or maybe dislike about something, but then also that maybe one thing that you really would like to try to get approved, of course, was being a part of the class, being part of the group, the class, right? And so that's why it's like, whenever you do think about that, and you're always worried to where that you think about something that you can do that you can show the rest of the class. And so it's like, yeah, everybody else might say that, yeah, if you want to show them maybe a photograph or maybe some artwork or something like that. So a lot of times it seems like that, yeah, present something that maybe that the class would like to see. So a lot of times it sure seems that way that was usually the case right there. But still, and I'll go and show everybody here, talk about for mailing right here. But see right here that yeah, the start mail merge right here, merge the Adobe PDF file, and then you have right here talk about for review right here. So it's like, yeah, that so whenever it comes to understanding about about Word, right, and 102, yeah, new comments right here, and so if you were trying to write to a client or to somebody just to be able to to talk about if you start out the letter with something for what was coming to your mind and anything that you want to talk about, but then if you were to actually share this with somebody else for sure, then maybe that they would not understand what it is that you're trying to say right here. What is it that you were saying about that? And that is why it seems like that, yeah, so that's why it's like you're want to know too that whenever you do first start writing a letter, that the first thing that you would maybe have to make sure of those to to making sure that people people that are invited, you invite anybody who wants to look at what you're doing, anybody who anybody who would want to make a suggestion, right? But a lot of times it seems like that whenever you first start writing something that that this right here was talk about your classwork, right? So anybody who's going to be looking at this right here in 102, that whenever you first started learning how to read and write, though, it was like it seems like to where that you would maybe think about is to where, okay, yeah, you gotta go by the directions, the directions are the requirements first before you pick about anything that you would like to learn about this or that. So a lot of times it seems like that was the case. That the teacher a lot of times would say that, hey, that you need to pay attention to the directions here. What does this mean or what does that mean right there? So it's like so this right here, I actually want to talk to everybody here about talk about for a special gift right here and have that special knowledge. So this is the type of stuff that I want to talk about here whenever it comes to special, right? So it's like, really that in case of anybody that may want to know too, that, a lot of teachers in the school, by the way, really, they gave me, they treated you something with something special, such as, yeah, maybe if it was a soda or maybe a packaged sandwich, or maybe it could have been maybe a greeting card or something like that. Yeah, a soda, and then maybe a sandwich or something like that is usually what they gave you. And a lot of times, yeah, whenever they would test you, and maybe whenever they would give you maybe an exam to take that morning or something like that. So I could also put on here for 9 a.m. too, because I know a lot of times a lot of those teachers, by the way, they would say something like, your test scores would begin at that 9 a.m. right here, and I can even put that top parentheses right here. But it's like so yeah, it's like so every time we do speak about that in 102, that whenever you first start writing about something, and at 102 that you talk about for special, what exactly is it? Well, what exactly do you mean by special? And like everybody else might say, is to where that that you're the type of student that the teacher a lot of times would always give you that what you call it was that the right that type of treatment to where that something that they really needed. I'm like, like another way of how you want to call for special treatment is just another way of how you want to call it. It's like the so sweet, the sweet treatment a lot of times, the nice sweet treatment a lot of times. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that right here. Is that yeah, the nice the nice sweet treatment right here, the nice and sweet, the nice and sweet treatment right here. So a lot of times it was like, yeah, nice and sweet right there. And so a lot of times it was like the teachers, a lot of times, like all the other students, might even say too that nice and sweet. And so it's like, yeah, nice and sweet. Do you want to look at that as another way of saying this toward it, for who is the better than who, or something like that, or if anything like that. Oh, really? That a lot of those teachers and counselors at the schools would treat a lot of their students, though, in like 102, that there was something, yeah, there was something that they liked about you for what you do. And a lot of times that was usually the case, right? That there was something that they liked about you. And so I can you put that like, yeah, I don't know about curly bracket, but still that. But so far as anything that they liked about you, or that, yeah, was it required by the Board of Education or something like that? And yeah, was it required by the state to say that something like, yeah, like or dislike or something like that? So a lot of times it's like, yeah, that every time you do speak about that in 102, that, okay, yeah, that why do you think that those teachers would give you a candy bar, or treat you to a special sandwich or a special treat, though knowing as to where if they do or if they don't like you? And so it's like, yeah, so every time you think about that in always 102, that yeah, that talk about for special treatment, right? But a lot of times it sure seems that way, that every time you do think about a letter and 102, that, okay, yeah, that why do you think that they would treat you special, though? And like everybody else might even say that, well, really, that they're required by the state, just to be able to treat you special, or if anything, that they're trying to see something that you have to get. I'm like, so yeah. Talk about further that, what is required to have the smarter skills that comes to what's on my mind. And a lot of times it's like, yeah. And I can tell you one thing, everybody, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, do a presentation. Do a presentation. Yeah, do a magic show. So a lot of times it was like, presentation. You do a presentation about something. That you'll please show me what you're talking about. Yeah, you'll show. So yeah, a lot of times it's like, yeah, that. So please show me what you're talking about. So a lot of times that's usually what I got too. Is that whenever you're trying to work on something, and maybe whenever you're trying to prove something, or maybe provide information about something, a lot of times it's like, yeah, please show me what you're talking about. And so that way, so yeah, it's like to me, though, I look at that more like a show. Give me show me. Can you show me your magic show? Your magic show. Show me how you do that. And so a lot of times it's like, yeah. So a lot of times everybody else might even say that, if you're going to be writing a letter about something, and maybe like everybody else might say that, you have a group of audience of people watching what you're doing, watching what you're working on. And a lot of times it sure seems that way, that whenever you do, well, while you're working and typing about something in 102, that, yeah, this paragraph right there really has nothing to do with what we were talking about earlier. But whenever I first start writing this, there was a lot of things that were coming to my mind. So that's what this was about right here. So a lot of times it was like, yeah, anybody who's going to be looking at what you're working on, it seems like that's usually the case. And really, how many of us are really are going to be kind of you're really kind of really embarrassed really to talk about that. And a lot of times it sure seems that way, that whenever you are working on your work, though, that maybe you don't want everybody to looking at what you're working on, but still that they're just checking in, or they're just curious to know, or anything like that. But let's just say that on average that this right here was what I was assuming. So let's just say that right here I can just put on here that I was assuming this right here is what I had assumed. So I'll go ahead and put right here that okay, see if I can go ahead and get this all right, now put it for assume. So let's just say that assuming. So whenever you do assume something, that you're guessing, right? You're that's not everything is very but you're guessing, right? So a lot of times it was like the teachers got mad at me, by the way, though, a couple times about that. And I can tell you one thing, everybody, be quite honest with you, that whenever you do guess an answer to something, whenever you do guess something, a lot of times the teachers would say is to where that's not called thinking. That's not really so smart whenever you just guess something. But if you're right or wrong about something, but still that whenever you do guess something, that's usually right here. That whenever I was writing this right here, that I was actually talking about that knowledge that I was able to develop at my own time before it was shared. So that's really what I was talking about right here, was a lot of the information that you see maybe right here on the bottom or on the right corner right here. And so that's why it seems like that anything that you're going to be working on, that a lot of this writing right here, so this right here would be visible to anybody who's trying to look at what you're doing, right? And so it's like, so you put this together right here, but then if you were to actually share this with a client, for sure, like if you were to actually distill this and send it to a client, for sure, they would not be able to understand what all that they're looking at, at least until you explain to them what all that they're looking at. And so number one, you're probably thinking is toward, okay, that if you're going to be working with a Word document, or maybe an InDesign document, to wait to distill that, right? And so if you're going to be working on any document, the first question that you're going to be wondering, though, is that really, can you open up this file? Do you have this program installed on your system? And that's the first thing that you're going to be asking. And if you can install, I'm like, if you can't open this file up, then you will be able to read this document right here. So that will be the first question right here. And like everybody else might say, well, the question to where all this is all about right here. But really, the question right now is that to where can you open up the document? So like, let's just say, like everybody else might say, is to where if you can open up the document, that's fine. But still, that you will be able to have your meeting and your discussion with the person that you're talking to, right? But a lot of times it's like, talking about is that every time we do speak about a document right here and talk about for general students, that who are very well experienced with the work they do, and it seems to have more confidence and knowledge for when I do, and that some even laugh. So what I was talking about right there is to where you actually show somebody what you're talking about. So a lot of times it's like, whenever you're going to be studying, doing research and studying about something, then not everybody's able to look at what you put together, right? So it's like, every time you think about that, and you're always want to know too that the work that you're doing, not everybody's going to understand what you were working with. Not everybody is going to understand what they see and all that. So that's why it sure seems that way, that whenever you do speak about that, you'll get to know the rest of the class and everything. And I was always thinking too that I did not always follow the directions, by the way, and I did not that I got the directions right here, but still, like everybody else would even say too that whenever you start working, whenever you do start learning something, that the first thing that I was thinking about is to where that they really what works best. Yeah. Well, I could not see the directions during the time, so this is something I was working on here, and so a lot of times, a lot of those teachers, by the way, would say is to where the hey that you're not following the directions. That's not how you do the assignment right there. So that's why it seems like that whenever it comes to understanding about working on an assignment, right? And so that's why you go ahead and insert a few keywords though, and say this to where I am very frustrated for that reason because all the other kids don't seem to have the same problems as I did, and that's why I got frustrated about it, and that's whenever I after class, that's whenever I just started taking down notes, and I actually was thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to be able to improve that? And so that's why it seems like what is required to have a smarter thinking skill. So a lot of times it's like, whenever you do first start working on something, that it's like, it seems like that you're always going to see that to where it needs to fulfill the requirements, and for what is required, needs to fulfill the requirements. So every time we do speak about requirements, though, and it's like you're always thinking as to where really why is it that based on your suggestions, right? But a lot of times these schools, I'm like, schools or companies, and you're going to have requirements, by the way, on almost everything you do, right? But a lot of times it's like, that you're always want to know too that why can't you learn anything new from the student just by listening to where anything that they really recommend and suggest and all that. But like everybody else might say that, well, if it's not required by the educational board, or if it's not required by the school or by the state, for sure that they'll say that, well, that's not in the instructions, and well, we're not going to fulfill these requirements right now. And so it's like every time you do speak about that, but still, that it's like so you start writing in this letter right here, and I want to know too that talk about for anything to talk about and discuss, right? But really, that how often are we going to maybe think about that is toward the students that they believe that they can maybe get more attention, maybe that they can realize that something that they were working on that makes it important. Something special. Talk about the gift of kindness right here. The gift that has a special knowledge. Nice and sweet. So a lot of times it's like, that proof of somebody's presence, and I can go ahead and put that right here too. That someone that anybody, someone's presence right here. So a lot of times it's like, the presence. And I can put on here, talk about for signature right here. Signature, your presence right here. So a lot of times it's like, and if you want to go ahead and sign right here, and so like, I'm sure most of us can remember me talking about that, and 102 that, that, so whenever you do sign something, and 1 that, and you change the fonts right here, but you see right here that knowing about that whenever it comes to signatures, right? Italic. I'm gonna go ahead and try to use black. Yeah, you use something like kind of like that right there. Yeah, that looks more okay. Yeah. All right. So this right here, I'll make that right there is an example. So that's supposed to be a voice, right here. That's supposed to be my voice right there. That's supposed to be speaking to where that document right there. So like everybody else might even say that every time you do speak about that, and then I'll even tell everybody here too that do you think that maybe that could be that should be maybe on the top of the page? Most students, yeah. So if I were to write that right there, the math, yeah, for the voice right there. So if I were to, yeah. So if I were to, copy that right there, copy and paste that, and let's just say that if I were to, insert it, on the top right here of the page, but paste right there. Okay. So yeah, so now it's on the top of the page right there. Yep. So every time, this right here was supposed to be my class assignment right here for sure. Yeah, we need to be on the top of the page right there. And like everybody else may say, they really, what is so special about that? And I can, even have that highlighted right there. Go ahead and highlight that right there, so I can show everybody. But talk about Matthew McGuire right here, and then so it's like so I talk about for signatures though, and another thing that I talk about is that if you were to actually open this up in Distiller or maybe e-sign, that you would be able to place your signatures on multiple spots of the document, right? And so every time we do speak about signatures, though, and it's like you're thinking as to where, okay, yeah, that whenever you do speak about a signature, though, that you might think as to where, okay, yeah, I know how to spell it. Well, but what's it doing there? And but still, everybody else might even say that, yeah, that learn how to spell it, but really that it's your proof of your presence, right? But it sure seems that way that if you're going to be doing any sorts of magic show for sure, maybe that you would maybe want to think as toward okay, yeah, that you can make it bigger and you could even make it smaller. And so I'll go ahead and start right here, the next line right here, and put right there, yeah, for I'll even make this bigger right here. I'll make it bigger. I'll make that bigger too. Yeah, just like that right there. I'll make it bigger. So yeah, you make that bigger right there in 102. That yeah, with your voice right here, bigger, and then maybe if you want to go ahead and make go ahead and right down here on the bottom, right here, and make that smaller right there. Yeah, make it smaller. So like like everybody else might even say that that whenever you're talking about any document that you're going to be working with for sure, that a lot of the teachers, by the way, liked my handwriting. I think one of those reasons was because it was smaller. Tell everybody too that whenever you have smaller handwriting, that do all the teachers make it look like that? Yeah, that looks a little bit more professional, just because that you can actually fit that onto you can fit that on one line, and you can actually that's usually how most documents are printed, by the way. Whenever you had it signed, whenever you have it signed on the very bottom corner right there on the page right there, whenever you have your signature right there. So a lot of times, every time we do speak about signatures, though, in 102, that you sign a document, print your name on that document right there. But anybody say that but this right here started out with that journal writing, but still that so a lot of times it's like if you were to actually distill a document for sure, you would want to go ahead and get a copy made of that, right? You would want to get a copy made of that same file, right? And so that's why it sure seems that way, that every time you do speak about that, and 102 is toward, okay, yeah, that so if this right here was supposed to be just one page right here, and 102 is toward, somebody asked if they can go ahead and get a copy print made of that. Can you please get a copy ready? I'm like, I would like to have a copy made of that, and that's why it sure seems that way, that every time we do speak about that and want to know that for how many copies that you want to have made, but still that really, I don't know, I don't see no reason why we anybody would really need a copy of this, but if you're just trying to show somebody how something works for the most of the time, yeah, just for quotes and maybe for directions, or maybe just for, like, as a guide or something like that. Somebody's going to maybe say that, can I have a copy of that just for reference? But anyway, I thought I'd show everybody here about that. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.